Imagine looking into the eyes of our distant past, only to find something staring back that defies everything we thought we knew about humanity. For centuries, archaeologists and historians have pieced together the puzzle of human evolution, migration, and cultural development. We've unearthed incredible artifacts, deciphered ancient texts, and even mapped the human genome, building a remarkably detailed story of where we came from. But what if a newly analyzed piece of that puzzle shatters the entire picture? We're talking about ancient skulls unearthed in Peru that carry genetic markers so unique, so unusual, they don't match anything on Earth we've ever seen. Deep in the sun-baked landscapes of Peru, on the Paracas Peninsula, lies a land steeped in history where ancient cultures once thrived and left behind incredible legacies. This desert region, an ecological wonder in its own right, was once home to the Paracas culture, which flourished between 800 BCE and 100 BCE. They were masters of their environment, building intricate irrigation systems in a harsh desert landscape. But they are perhaps best known for two things: their breathtakingly complex textiles, among the most sophisticated ever discovered in the ancient world, and their elaborate burial practices. These weren't just simple graves, they were underground tombs filled with mummified remains, wrapped in layers of exquisite fabrics, revealing a society with deep spiritual beliefs and a highly organized social structure. It's within these burial sites, in this very specific corner of the world, that some of the most perplexing human remains have been found: the elongated skulls of Paracas. These aren't just any old bones. These are skulls that have captured the imagination of researchers and history enthusiasts for decades, with their dramatically stretched, almost alien-like appearance. For a long time, the prevailing explanation for their unusual shape was artificial cranial deformation. This practice, common in many ancient cultures across the globe, involved deliberately reshaping a person's skull during infancy, when the bones are still soft. Typically, this was done by binding the head with cloths, planks, or specialized devices over an extended period. Anthropologists have generally viewed this as a form of cultural body modification, much like foot binding in ancient China or scarification in some African tribes. It was often a mark of status, group identity, or beauty. So, for the Paracas skulls, the elongation was assumed to be a cultural choice, a testament to their unique traditions. But then, things got complicated. In recent years, a groundbreaking scientific analysis was performed on samples taken from some of these infamous Paracas skulls. This wasn't some fringe experiment. It involved serious genetic testing, spearheaded by researchers like Brian Foster, an author and expert on ancient cultures. Samples were meticulously collected from 5 distinctively shaped skulls and sent off to labs for DNA sequencing. The anticipation was palpable. Would these tests confirm the skulls were simply humans who underwent cranial modification, as science had long assumed? Or would they reveal something far more profound? The results, initially released in 2018, were nothing short of astonishing. What the genetic analysis confirmed was that, yes, the specimens did contain human DNA. This wasn't some discovery of an entirely different species from another planet. However, alongside the human markers, the mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, which is inherited solely from the mother, presented a series of mutations that left scientists scratching their heads. These weren't just minor variations. These were mutations described as not found in any human, primate, or animal known so far. Let that sink in for a moment. Not found in any known living thing. This wasn't just a different tribe or a rare genetic trait. It was something fundamentally distinct. This discovery pushed the conversation about the Paracas skulls into entirely new territory. The physical elongation, while striking, could still be explained by cultural practices. But the genetic anomalies? They started to raise questions that went far beyond typical anthropological explanations. If these individuals were human, what kind of human were they? The mutations suggested a lineage that diverged significantly from modern humans. It didn't match the genetic profiles of Neanderthals, our ancient cousins who once roamed Europe and Asia. It also didn't align with the Denisovans, another mysterious ancient hominid group only recently identified from DNA fragments found in a Siberian cave. This wasn't just a new branch on the human family tree. It looked like a branch that might have fallen off a completely different tree, or perhaps a tree we hadn't even discovered yet. The genetic footprint of these Paracas individuals seemed to stand alone. Now, it's important to talk about the bumps in the road, the challenges, and the healthy dose of skepticism that naturally accompanies such extraordinary claims. Science, by its very nature, demands rigorous proof and independent verification. Many critics and mainstream archaeologists have been quick to caution against overinterpreting these initial findings. And their concerns are valid. One of the primary worries is the potential for contamination. Ancient DNA is notoriously fragile. Over millennia, samples can degrade or they can become mixed with modern human DNA from researchers, handling, or even environmental bacteria. Imagine trying to find a specific needle in a haystack, only to realize the haystack has been visited by 1,000 other people dropping their own needles. It's a very real challenge in paleogenetics. There's also the possibility that these mutations could be incredibly rare, isolated genetic conditions within a known human population, rather than evidence of a new lineage. Perhaps a highly localized genetic variation exacerbated by environmental factors or specific dietary habits could account for some of these unusual markers. Another point frequently raised is the sample size. The initial study was based on 5 skulls. While 5 samples can yield significant data, it's a relatively small number when making claims that could rewrite human history. To truly solidify such a groundbreaking discovery, a much larger, diverse sample set would typically be required, along with replication by multiple independent labs. And finally, the fact that these findings, while widely discussed online and in documentaries, have not yet been published in a major, peer-reviewed scientific journal is a significant hurdle for mainstream acceptance. Peer review is the bedrock of scientific credibility, where other experts in the field scrutinize the methods, data, and conclusions to ensure accuracy and rigor. Without it, the findings, no matter how intriguing, remain largely speculative in the eyes of many academics. However, the researchers involved, including Brian Forrester and the geneticists collaborating on the project, maintain that the genetic variants they found were consistent across multiple specimens. They argue that these variants simply cannot be attributed to known human haplotypes, which are groups of genes inherited together from a single parent. In simpler terms, the genetic code they found didn't fit neatly into any of the established folders of human genetic variation. They contend that the distinctiveness is too profound to be easily dismissed as mere contamination or common disease. They stand by their initial interpretation, insisting that the data points towards something truly unique. So, where does this leave us? The implications of these findings, if definitively verified, would be nothing short of profound. Imagine for a moment that these genetic anomalies hold up under further scrutiny. It could suggest the existence of a previously unknown hominid species, an ancient branch of humanity that walked the earth alongside or perhaps even before our recognized ancestors. This would mean our human family tree is far more complex and diverse than current models suggest. It could rewrite textbooks and redefine our understanding of our own origins. Alternatively, these mutations might point to a hybrid population, a group that interbred with early humans, introducing unique genetic material that has since largely disappeared from the global gene pool. This wouldn't be entirely unprecedented. We know that Neanderthals and Denisovans interbred with early modern humans, leaving traces of their DNA in many populations today. But these Paracas individuals would represent a third and currently unknown interbreeding partner. There's also the possibility, still within the realm of known human variation, that these mutations represent a unique genetic adaptation, perhaps specific to the Paracas elite. It's plausible that within this ancient society, a particular lineage or group held power, and perhaps they were the ones who consistently practiced cranial deformation, making their physical appearance match their distinct genetic heritage. This unique genetic profile might have conferred a perceived advantage or served as a marker of their distinct identity, both physical and biological. It's a fascinating thought, a powerful, distinct group potentially evolving unique traits within their isolated community. Ultimately, to move beyond speculation and truly unravel this mystery, one thing is clear: further independent testing is absolutely needed. More samples, analyzed by different labs using the most advanced genetic sequencing techniques available, are crucial. The scientific community needs to engage with these findings, even if initially skeptical, and work towards either confirming or definitively refuting them. The elongated skulls of Paracas remain one of the most fascinating and unresolved mysteries of the ancient world. They stand at a thrilling intersection of archaeology, genetics, and anthropology, forcing us to ask fundamental questions about human identity, evolution, and history. Whether they represent a lost lineage, a unique adaptation, or something else entirely, their silent testimony continues to challenge our assumptions and beckon us towards a deeper, perhaps more complex, understanding of who we are and where we come from.